Welcome, everyone. I'm Professor Joanne Ordilli from the Rutgers Business School, and this is Tech for Business. In this video, I will show you how to install Tableau Desktop and connect it to MySQL Server. This will allow you to pull data from MySQL Server dynamically and visualize it. This video is for Macs. If you have a Windows machine, look in the description of this video for the companion video for Windows. We will proceed in 5 steps. First, we will install Tableau. Then we will install 2 ODBC drivers. That's Open Database Connectivity drivers. The first driver we need to install is iODBC, and then we will install the MySQL ODBC driver. These enable Tableau to talk to MySQL, and they must be installed in the specified order. After that, we'll create a MySQL account for Tableau. We'll connect Tableau to MySQL Server, and we'll check that everything's working by doing a test visualization. When you install Tableau and use it, you need a license. If you're a teacher, you can use the link here to apply for a free license for teachers. Similarly, if you're a student, you can use this link to apply for a free license for students. If you're neither a teacher or a student, you can try Tableau out with the free 14-day trial. And you can use the link specified here to obtain that 14-day trial. This link will also download the software to install for you. As a teacher, I have received a license from Tableau, and so I am going to use the special link they gave me to download the Tableau software. So let's bring up Chrome if we have it. Okay, and let's put in the link. Okay, so here I am. I'm on a screen that says start your free 14-day trial, because every download is in fact the same download. It just differs in terms of which license is in use. I'm going to sign into my account, which was automatic. It remembered who I was, and now I'm going to download my free trial. So notice here there are 2 different versions of the Mac software, and Tableau has identified what kind of Mac I have, and it's currently downloading the Apple Silicon version. So what is that about? Well, if you go to the About This Mac under the Apple, you will get a description of your Mac. And you'll either have a keyword chip or a keyword processor and a description of the hardware that your Mac OS is running on. Mine is an Apple M1 Pro. So unless chip or processor says Intel in it, you have the Apple Silicon. So that's what's happening here. So let's see if we can check the download. We're almost there, but not quite there. Great. So now we're done. We're going to start the installation. I'm going to open the installer, open the package. And the first thing to say is continue, and then install. It needs my password to continue. Okay, the installation is complete. I'll say close. I'll move the installer to the trash, close my window. Is go to applications, find Tableau. And one of the things you'll see here in parentheses is that it did install the Apple Silicon version for me. And then we'll just click on it to start it. Here it is down here. I have previously installed Tableau on this machine, and I didn't want to risk my license. And so it found the license I had already placed on this machine, and so it's automatically opened Tableau. If, on the other hand, you haven't done that before, you will get something that looks like this. And so you'll have three choices. You could start the 14-day trial, which you might do if you don't yet have a license. On the other hand, if you have a license, click on Activate with Product Key and enter your license. And after you do that, you will see what we were just looking at. You will see something like this. If you do start a 14-day trial and later get a product key or license, then you should go to Help, and under Help, go down to Manage Product Keys and click on that. That will allow you to enter and activate your license. Our next step is to install the two drivers needed to connect to MySQL Server. There is a chance that the drivers are already installed, so you can come over here to connect and click on MySQL. And then if you get a pop-up like this that asks for a server and a database, that means that the drivers are likely installed already. Otherwise, you would get a pop-up with instructions on how to install the drivers. Since my drivers are already installed, I'm going to show you using a browser how to download and install the drivers. Note that if you have the right pop-up, but it doesn't work, a good debugging approach is to just reinstall both drivers. So bringing up Safari here, I'm going to search for ODBC driver for Tableau. When I do that, I see here the driver download from tableau.com. I'm going to go there. I'm already logged in. You might get a screen that asks you to log in. Once you have the driver download page, you need to choose MySQL. And you need to specify your platform. I have Apple Silicon, as we discussed earlier. We are installing the most recent version of Tableau Desktop, and these are our instructions. We basically have to download the IODBC driver and then the MySQL ODBC driver and install them in that order. So let's start with this first one. Notice that the driver we need, MXKOZZZZ, and is compatible with all these different versions of Mac OS. So this is the driver we need. Let's click on it to download it. This is normally pretty quick, and so we see the driver is there. The next thing that we need to do, going back to the previous page we looked at, is to download the right driver from MySQL Community Server. In this case, the driver download comes up and says select version 9.0 for Mac OS, and then select your OS version. I know that I installed MySQL Server 8.0.39, and it turns out that this 9.0.0 driver is compatible with that version of MySQL Server. And in fact, if we were to change to 8.037, and then looked at the operating systems that are supported, Mac OS would not be listed there. So going back to 9, okay, we can pick our OS version. ARM and Apple Silicon are equivalent for these purposes, and so I will choose ARM. And I have here a DMG archive I can download. Notice that this DMG archive is only applicable to versions 14 and 13 of Mac OS. If you have an earlier version, you will need to look through the archives for a driver that supports your version of Mac OS. And so if we go to the archives for a minute, you're likely to be much further down in the 8.0. So if we pick 8.0.32, this is for 13 and 12. Okay, so let's go back to the particular one that I need to install. So I have 9.0 Mac OS and ARM here. And let's just select ARM again because it's supposed to eliminate the other possibilities from the listing, but it's not. All. And now ARM. Okay, much better. So let's go and download the correct version. I'm not going to log into Oracle. I'm just going to say no thanks. Just start my download. Okay, my download is finished. And so now I have 2 downloads that I can use. I'm going to go and look at my downloads folder. The first thing I need to install is MXKO Before I can do that, though, I need to close Tableau. So if I come over here to Tableau, I can say quit Tableau. And now I'll click on this to start the installation. Clicking on the package, I will say continue, 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 agree, install, and provide my password. If when you click on the package, you get a security message that indicates that the software cannot be installed, close that message, then right-click on the package. So right-click on the package and say Open with Installer. This will give you the same security message, but an additional option to open and execute the package. Next, we want to install MySQL connector. So clicking on that and on the package, we're going to say continue, continue, agree to the licensing, install for all users on this computer, install in the default location, and provide our password for installation. And now both drivers are installed. At this point, we want to continue by creating an account for MySQL Workbench. So going to Applications to start MySQL Workbench. Here in MySQL Workbench, I'm going to log in as root. And my goal is to create an account for Tableau that obeys the principle of least privilege. In order to retrieve data and visualize it, I only need to read that data. I never need actually to write the data. And so since that's the case, I'm going to create a special account that's different from the root account, which has power to do anything, that limits Tableau just to reading the data. Here in the root account under schemas, I have 3 databases, and I think I would like Tableau to be able to visualize data from Sequela and World. Remember, Sys is just a database used by the database server in the management of the server. So we'll go here to server and pick users and privileges. You see, here's the root account. We're going to add another account. We're going to call that account Tableau. We're going to use standard authentication, and we're going to only allow that account to log in from the local host. So our Tableau running on our MacBook can communicate with our MySQL server running on our MacBook, but no one can come in from the internet and do that. And we need to give this account a password. And we'll say apply. So now we have a Tableau account, but it still doesn't have any ability to access these databases. And we can provide that by skipping over here to schema privileges. Under schema privileges, we're going to add an entry. We're going to select a schema, and we're going to select Sequela. So for the purposes here, database and schema are equivalent designations. That's not true in general, but in MySQL Workbench right here, that's true. So let's say okay. So we added the database, but it still doesn't have any privilege. We still don't have any privileges for this account to access it. So we want the select privilege, which is the privilege to read the data. And so once we designate that privilege, we say apply. And then we do the same thing for the world database. And now we have our Tableau account. And we can check it by going to home and providing a login icon for it. So we say plus. I'm going to call this Tableau. I'm going to log in with standard authentication. This is the local host. I'm going to use Tableau account. I'm going to store my password in the keychain. And say okay. Now I have a square for logging into Tableau. Let's try that out. Okay, I've logged into Tableau, and you can see here that the Tableau account can see the Sequela and the world databases, but not Sys. This is the root account. This is the Tableau account. So we're all set here. Now we can go back and start up Tableau Desktop. Click on MySQL. And then when we fill out MySQL, we're going to say we want the Sequela database. We're going to give it the Tableau account and the Tableau password. Do not click require SSL and sign in. Once the connection is made, Tableau retrieves the names of all of the tables that are in the Sequela database. For the purpose of this demonstration, let's look at payments. So I'm going to pull payments over here. This is called sort of our data model or data source. And I intend to only visualize data in this payment table. So the next thing I need to do is to go to the sheet 1 worksheet, and I need to specify what visualization I want to Tableau. I would like to look at the payment dates and how much was actually paid on those days. And so we see we have data for 2 years. This is not that exciting a chart. So what I really want is not year, but I kind of want month, right? But here, if I just put that month, it seems like I'm missing data from 2006. I'm not really, it's all aggregated with the 2005 data because I said month and not month and year. So I really want this one. Okay. Still, not that exciting a chart. I don't like the line graph here, and it's confusing. What does this exactly mean? And so I'm going to change the type of the chart to bar chart. And this makes more sense. So you can see that the sample database, it has a lot of data for a continuous period of time, and then it's as if the company closed down and then restarted again, which is probably not true for companies in general, but it is for this database. So I like this. This is looking a lot better, but I really would like these bars to be different colors. So I'm going to take payment date and drop it into color. And you see it colored the 2 years differently, but I really want every bar to have a different color. So I'm going to change year to match what I have up here, which is month and year. And so now I have different colors, but they're all blue. In order to change that, I'm going back here again and saying, I don't want a continuous color scale. I want a discrete color scale. And now I have a different color for each bar. And if I don't like those colors, I can come up here to month and edit colors to pick a different color palette. This concludes our demonstration. And we can see that we have successfully installed Tableau, the MySQL connectors, and we were able to actually go from Tableau to MySQL Server, retrieve data from the Sequela database, and visualize it. So congratulations, this is all installed. And before we finish, I just want to mention one additional thing to you. You might be sitting there saying, but I don't have these databases. So if you're missing the Sequela and World databases, you can follow the instructions for installing the databases in my previous video on installing MySQL on Macs. You want to start at this time point, but you can use this link to go right to that time point, and the website for retrieving the source files to create the databases is this website. I will put these links in the description of this video, and I will also put a link to these slides in the description of the video. So you can retrieve all of this, and it will help you if you're trying to actually get these databases. If you found this video helpful, please click like. It will help others find this video more quickly. And consider subscribing. There are more videos coming, including a tour of MySQL Workbench and learning about relational databases by using the graphical features of MySQL Workbench. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.